Hi, my name is Jerry Mikulski, and you know how we're all looking for our mission statement. I think I've found mine for a while. I help organizations flourish in uncomfortable futures. Now, why do I say flourish? Well, I think we can agree that profit maximization is kind of off the table as the corporation's primary goal. That there's a conversation now, thank goodness, in the boardroom about sustainability and resilience. 20 years ago, this was not a conversation that was easily had. But today, if a board is not discussing these things and putting them in front of management, then something's actually wrong. The problem is that sustainability and resilience they're both about coming back to where you were after having suffered some large collision, like you're resilient after a tsunami hits your shoreline, or you're sustainable because you're not polluting the earth as much as you used to be. Both of these terms, which I like all the efforts they involve, but they both operate below a line that I call the joy line. Now, there's two other terms that I love that operate above the joy line. One of them is thriving, and my friend and colleague, Gene Russell, has been talking about thrivability for years and years and really helped put that in my head early. But this notion of thriving means we're doing better than we were before. And it also opens up some plasticity, some potential or opportunity for change. The other word that's like that is flourishing. And I've only got a couple reasons for preferring flourishing these days, one of which is it lets you add a flourish. It lets you add some elegance, some art, some special something to what it is you're doing rather than just thriving. And I like that about it. So I help organizations flourish in uncomfortable futures, and I think this is really the meat of the subject. And the question is, why are these futures uncomfortable? What's going on that makes them uncomfortable? And see if you agree with me. For corporations are having a pretty hard time. Industry after industry is melting. If you were their Encyclopedia Britannica, if you were in the old days, any number of businesses, nowadays taxi cabs and transportation companies and the car makers and everybody seems to be under assault in some way. And loyalty, good old customer loyalty, is kind of vanishing. There's the people who buy your stuff aren't that interested. Unless you're buying an iPhone or a Tesla, there isn't an awful lot of customer loyalty. Every time corporations try to mitigate risk, it seems like they increase risk. When they lock things down, they try to protect their assets more. They try to increase the bottom line. They try to control things. They actually break things. They make them more fragile. They're under this incredible pressure from markets for short-term results. Short-termism is everywhere, and that makes everything more fragile, as well as the biosphere. So I think the reason we're in conversations about sustainability and resilience is that we're realizing, all of us, that corporations have had a major hand in systemic fragility and are not trying to fix that. But we're not clear that we're going to be able to turn the ship before worse things happen than are already happening today. Now, that's the picture for corporations, which is a lot of where my help is. But the picture is very similar for individuals. Now, for all of them, old solutions really are failing. When they try to fix things, they basically turn the volume on the old methods to 11, and that doesn't really work. You can't further protect. You can't extend copyright another 20 years, as recently happened in 1998, courtesy of Disney and others. You can't do that and expect good things to happen. That is a bad thing for culture. And this is happening over and over again because we can't see our way clear to new solutions. Now, for individuals, the situation is remarkably similar, except individuals and corporations are not kind of in the same boat. But for individuals, they see jobs melting everywhere. Software is, in fact, eating the world. And job after job category is either being broken up so that some of the tasks are taken away and others maybe survive, maybe don't know. But job after job is going away, including some white-collar work that we thought might be safe from automation, like legal work or journalism, or studying things, or medical work like looking at x-rays and figuring out what's wrong with somebody from their x-ray. It turns out that software doesn't need a retirement account, works tirelessly, and once it's as good as a human for performance, everything above that is gravy. Individuals also note that the system does seem to be rigged. Capitalism seems to be very good at pumping money from people who don't have much into the hands of people who have most of it. Organizations, institutions, governments are busy committing breaches of trust left, right, and center, including those organizations that are supposed to be protecting individuals, whether it's journalism or governments. Overall, it seems like the social contract is broken, and for individuals also, old solutions are failing. What am I supposed to do? Go get a new degree and go into debt And a degree in what exactly? It takes 4 years, 2 years to get a degree, by which time maybe the thing I'm aiming for has been automated. How do all these things work? We're not having a very good time of it. So one big question is, how might we all flourish and not just get by? How might we all lead the way into this new world in a way that actually makes it work? In order to do that, we're going to have to see differently. We're going to have to see what's around us pretty differently from the way we see today. The modernist lens and the scientific lens, frankly, are blinding us to a lot of things that are right around us that are useful and profitable. A lot of the solutions exist today. This is a list where things are clustered a little bit by how they relate to each other. So the internet and open source software have a lot to do with governing the commons. There's a for-benefit sector that's emerging, a small sliver of the economy right now, but it's fantastic. There's crowdsourcing and crowdfunding. Workplace democracy is changing some companies. If you go down below, the sharing economy is showing up. Unschooling, free-range parenting, all these things may seem very disparate, but in fact, they're really very similar, and they have a lot to do with one another through things like trust, intent, abundance, values, relationships, purpose, words that we left outside the door in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s in corporate America, probably around the world, but less so in other countries, and that are now really important words, and words that are important to understand. Now, these solutions, they often look kind of maybe promising in a small way, but improbable, or maybe even impossible. Like, you can't have policing by consent because people are just nasty. Bad actors are out there all the time. Or they may seem idealistic but impractical, or maybe, in the worst case, unprofitable. You're Britannica, you're looking over at Wikipedia, which is a non-profit entity, and has done very, very well creating an encyclopedia in multiple languages around the world for free with a very small budget, practically speaking. Now, that's not necessarily a profitable business. So all of this is pretty confusing and may leave you feeling that you have the wrong skills for this new model and your business has the wrong business model. These are the kinds of uncomfortable I'm talking about. If the current way of seeing, the current way of structuring, the current skills you've got don't feel like they're a match for the solutions you see coming, then what are you going to do about it? So I think some of the answers are here with us, that I would say trust is the new differentiator. Everything else is table stakes, but there are very few genuinely trustworthy entities, and those that are will win in the long term. They will invent all new offers, things we haven't imagined as possible before. They will forge new relationships, reshape their industries. The lower trust entities won't go away, just like radio doesn't disappear when TV shows up. They're just going to get marginalized, and they won't have what they have these days. And they won't earn any loyalty. This change I'm talking about is not superficial, it's really profound. It involves a new way of seeing, and I'd like to help you get there. That's why I think I help organizations flourish in uncomfortable futures. If you'd like to find out more about this, please send me email or visit my website. I'd love to be of help.